Good morning everyone. Yorobun annyeonghaseyo. Damien Pereira, je suis effectivement le délégué du Québec à Séoul, donc depuis à peu près 1 an. Le ministère des Relations internationales et de la francophonie y opère une des plus belles délégations du réseau, dotée d'une équipe très efficace, chargée de représenter et défendre les intérêts du Québec, mais surtout d'accompagner nos entreprises, nos jeunes pousses, nos innovateurs, nos chercheurs, nos artistes sur le territoire de la péninsule sud-coréenne. La Corée, c'est quand même le 10e client du Québec, le 3e en Asie, avec des exportations en croissance constante qui ont doublé en l'espace des 10 dernières années, pour atteindre 1,2 milliard de dollars en 2024. L'année précédente, la Corée est aussi devenue le 2e investisseur au Québec avec des entreprises majeures de la stratégie batterie qui continuent d'investir encore aujourd'hui pour s'améliorer et innover aux côtés des Québécoises et des Québécois. Nous avons beaucoup parlé d'Amérique et d'Europe lors de cette conférence de Montréal, c'était très intéressant, mais peu finalement d'une région majeure du futur de l'économie mondiale, l'Indo-Pacifique. Cette région est en pleine mutation, mutation économique, géopolitique, une mutation rapide et robuste qui redéfinit les jeux de l'économie mondiale. Cette région compte 4,8 milliards d'habitants, 60% de la population mondiale, mais près de 70% de la croissance mondiale dans les 5 dernières années. C'est aussi le 2e marché d'exportation du Québec, juste après les États-Unis. Donc comme on parle beaucoup de diversification, je pense que c'est une région intéressante pour vous. Une chose qu'on réalise moins aussi, c'est que la moitié des brevets technologiques déposés proviendront d'Asie d'ici 2040. Donc l'Indo-Pacifique n'est plus seulement l'usine du monde, c'est vraiment un des laboratoires technologiques de pointe. Vous l'aurez compris, on va avoir le plaisir de vous emmener de ce côté de la planète pour un échange très intéressant avec un panel que je vais être très chanceux de retrouver. Au cours de cette session, nous allons aborder un enjeu crucial. Comment l'innovation technologique peut-elle sécuriser notre avenir ? Aujourd'hui, la maîtrise des technologies critiques n'est plus un luxe, c'est une nécessité pour protéger nos infrastructures, garantir la résilience de nos économies et anticiper les crises à venir. Le Québec, à travers sa stratégie des zones d'innovation, bâtit des pôles d'excellence uniques, où on allie recherche, entrepreneuriat et transfert technologique. Qu'il s'agisse de microélectroniques, de quantiques, d'aérospatial, de transition énergétique, ces écosystèmes sont au cœur de notre capacité d'innovation souveraine. En Corée du Sud, cette même volonté d'excellence se manifeste dans des initiatives tout aussi ambitieuses autour des semi-conducteurs, des technologies quantiques, de l'intelligence artificielle ou de la sécurité et des chaînes critiques. Ensemble, le Québec et la Corée ont tout pour bâtir un partenariat stratégique à la hauteur des défis globaux. Et c'est cette complémentarité entre l'excellence scientifique québécoise et l'agilité industrielle coréenne que nous allons aussi explorer aujourd'hui avec nos invités de haut niveau. Cette complémentarité ouvre la voie à une coopération stratégique, unique. Ensemble, nous pouvons mutualiser nos forces pour bâtir une innovation souveraine capable de faire face à la compétition mondiale et aux menaces futures, pour inventer ensemble l'avenir. Nous avons donc aujourd'hui la chance d'accueillir des intervenants de tout premier plan, à l'avant-garde de cette révolution, et ils vont vous aider à comprendre concrètement comment ces innovations transforment notre quotidien et comment elles préparent aussi celui de demain. Par la suite, nous aurons effectivement une séquence de signatures entre le ministère de l'économie et de l'innovation, avec le ministre de l'économie Christopher Skid et la capitale de l'innovation coréenne, le gouvernement métropolitain de Daejeon, dont vous l'aurez compris, le maire Lee est présent aujourd'hui, accompagné d'une délégation de 50 personnes, c'est assez impressionnant, et vous aurez la chance d'entendre le maire Lee également à la suite durant le lunch. Donc c'est maintenant pour moi le moment d'accueillir nos panélistes. Donc j'aimerais accueillir Manon Duclos, PDG de la zone d'innovation Technom Québec. Après. Monsieur Kim Eun-Seong, Dean of the Graduate School of Quantum Technology at KRISS. Ruoyi Zhou, Director of Strategic Research Partnership at IBM. And Christian Sarra-Bournet, Directeur exécutif de l'Institut quantique, Université de Sherbrooke, représente également la zone d'innovation district. Merci beaucoup, si vous pouvez les accueillir. Et pour mettre la table, nous allons d'abord entendre une présentation du vice-président de la Korean Research Institute of Standard and Science, KRISS de son petit nom. Cette organisation est en charge du déploiement de la Quantum Science and Technology stratégie de la Corée du Sud, visant à positionner la Corée parmi les 5 leaders mondiaux en technologie quantique d'ici 2035, avec un investissement public de 3,6 milliards de dollars et un développement d'au moins 10 ordinateurs quantiques. Le KRISS y joue un rôle central en partenariat avec des institutions comme l'Université KRISS, mais aussi des grands groupes comme Samsung, SK et LG, sous l'impulsion stratégique du Ministry of Science and ICT, le MSIT. Donc, s'il vous plaît, merci d'accueillir Monsieur Park Yonkyu, vice-président Korea Research Institute of Standard and Science, pour un petit avant-propos. Merci.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Yonkyu Park, the Vice-président of KRISS. Today, it's my great honor and pleasure to introduce you about the Korea's national quantum strategy and quantum technology research at KRISS. Next slide, please. Next, please. Next one. Yeah. The content is like this. I'll skip quickly. And next, please. Next slide. And next slide. Because I was given only 7 minutes, therefore I should quickly continue. As you know well, quantum technology is using the unique quantum phenomena such as superposition and entanglement. And by using the principles, we can develop quantum computing having very fast computing power and quantum communication which is very safe, and also quantum sensors which are very precise and sensitive. Next, please. The Korea has the vision to become a quantum economic leader by 2035. To achieve the vision, Korea has launched a quantum initiative program in this year. The program has 2 directions. One is the industrialization beyond R&D, and the second one is the launch of quantum initiative to deliver rapid outcomes. The program has 10 key assignments that can be categorized into 3 strategies. The first strategy is the securing core competency. That means about the achievement in R&D. The second strategy is quantum industrialization and foundation, that helping the startups and operating foundries and test beds. The last one is the global cooperation and technology security. As you know well, the quantum technology is a strategic technology. Therefore, the international cooperation between global partners is very important. Next, please. Korea is increasing R&D investment to this vision. In this year, Korea will invest almost 200 billion Korean won, which is 54% increased compared to last year. In this year, we have operating 24 projects concerning the technology development, infrastructure, and international cooperation. Next, please. The most important and largest project is the quantum flagship project, which will be launched at the last half of this year. The total budget of the project is 700 billion Korean won. That is about 700 million Canadian dollar. This project covers 3 main aspects of the quantum technology, such as quantum computing, communication, and sensor. In case of the quantum computing, Korea would like to focus on the superconducting and neutral atom quantum computing. And in case of the communication, our target is the long distance communication within 100 kilometers. Next one, please. From now, I will talk about the overview of KRISS. Yeah, next, please. Yeah, Korea is the National Meteorology Institute, officially designated by Korean law. KRISS was established in 1975, 50 years ago. That means this year is the 50th anniversary of KRISS. KRISS have 3 main missions. The first one is the establishment of the national measurement standards. The second one is the development of measurement technology, and the third one is the dissemination of standards to the industry. Next, please. From tens of years ago, we are developing national measurement standards, and the realization of measurement standards is highly related to the quantum technology. That means KRISS has a long history for quantum research, and nowadays we become one of the leading NMI institute for the quantum research. Next, please. This slide shows the organization chart of KRISS. Here, the orange-colored sections are working for research for quantum technology, and the yellow-colored sections are working for international cooperation, strategy, and policy supporting Korean central government. Next, please. From now, I will talk about the quantum activities at KRISS. Yeah, next, please. KRISS is focusing on the development of superconducting quantum computer. In this year, we have succeeded to demonstrate the cloud service by using 20-qubit quantum computer. And by the end of this year, we would like to finish the development of 50-qubit quantum computing. And as I already told you, KRISS would like to launch the mega project called as the Quantum Flagship Project. In the project, KRISS would like to lead the project. Next, please. Okay, KRISS is also would like to research about the quantum communication. Within recent years, we already finished the quantum communication within 20 kilometers by sending single photons. And also, KRISS is operating a testing bed to examine the feasibility of the optical part and equipment that can be used for the quantum communication. Next, please. Okay. One of the most exciting initiatives is the Quantum Scale-up Value Project. In this object is the support scale-up and also help the transformation of non-quantum companies to be the quantum companies. This is a part of the cooperation with the local government, Daejeon City, and KRISS. Our target, our goal is to attract 20 companies within 3 years. Korea would like to establish a global ecosystem for quantum technology. And for this purpose, we need a special space for industrialization and global cooperation. Last year, we get some budget from the government to construct a new building, and the budget from the government is about $33 million. This building will be open to all partners, and if you are interested to be the partner of KRISS, and if you would like to make an on-site laboratory at KRISS, in that case, we can offer some space in this building to you. This is the next, please, last slide. I hope my presentation will give you any insight for the future cooperation between Canada and Korea. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Park. It was very interesting. And we are also hoping there is more collaboration between Quebec and South Korea. Let's start with our panel. Thank you again for joining us. With a simple question. What does safety really means today, whether it's protecting our infrastructure, our data, our daily routines? Emerging technology are reshaping the way we stay secure. So as an open discussion, I'd like to ask you, each of you, which technology do you believe will have the most tangible impact on our safety in our everyday lives? And could you share one concrete example to bring that to life? Maybe Manon, if you can start.
Oui, je peux commencer. En fait, je ne vous apprendrai rien si je vous dis que la sécurité, la notion de sécurité maintenant, ne se limite plus uniquement au physique. Hein. C'est quelque chose qui est numérique, systémique, c'est intégré dans notre vie de tous les jours. Donc, ça signifie qu'on doit protéger non seulement les personnes, mais nos systèmes, les systèmes qui alimentent nos hôpitaux, les communications ou des réseaux financiers, par exemple. Donc, c'est pour ça qu'on doit garder une longueur d'avance pour pouvoir prévenir les perturbations, entre autres, avant qu'elles n'arrivent. Et ça va passer par l'utilisation de technologies émergentes. Et puis là, on a plusieurs exemples qu'on peut donner. Je vais laisser aussi mes collègues parler, mais vous connaissez sans doute tous soit la Apple Watch ou une autre montre similaire là, qui a des accéléromètres qui captent des chutes, par exemple, ou les personnes qui peuvent alerter les services médicaux et donner la position GPS. Là, donc, on sauve plus de vies, par exemple, en lien avec ça. Mais il y a une multitude d'exemples qu'on peut donner.
Merci beaucoup. Mr. Kim, would you share an example?
I'm Eun-Seong Kim. As a quantum scientist, probably I should emphasize on the quantum technology, right? So the secure communication and cryptography. And those kind of things are actually well, the first thing that we care, and probably all the people sitting here care about it, right? But I mean, that could be the security in the communication and the network can be jeopardized by the presence of quantum technologies, but also can be protected, right? Because of that quantum principle that I really don't like to discuss because it is not easy to follow. So that's the part of the issues why all the people rush into the development race in the quantum technology. I mean, that could change the world. That could possibly change the societies. So I like to put my one vote to the quantum technology. Okay.
Thank you. Ruoyi, would you like to share?
Yes, thank you. And I think safety, in my mind, comes in multiple dimensions. It could be technological, it could be physical, it could be societal or environmental. It also comes in different scales, individual level, organizational level, global level. And so my opinion is that the most important safety is the safety of our planet. If the planet is compromised, no one is safe. So I'll give one example of such impact. I don't know if you heard about the PFAS, also called forever chemicals, right? They're used in daily life, such as non-stick cooking wares and your, waterproof garments, and also used in electronics and semiconductors. The good news is there are increasing regulations around the world, including US, Europe, and other nations to ban such materials. So the question is, what technology can we use to help? AI is one example. We're working with the National Science Foundation and other partners to not only identify PFAS materials in your operations and also in supply chain, but also how do we use AI and quantum to identify alternative materials that meet the requirements, but also is safe. So I think, protect the safety of our planet is everyone's responsibility.
Thank you. Christian?
Thank you. So I'll also wear my quantum hat today, so it's not going to change your everyday lives tomorrow. And I would say, as a non-answer, most of the quantum technology that you will use will not be used in everyday lives. It will be ubiquitous in what you're doing. It could be quantum sensing, quantum communication, or quantum computing as tools that you're going to use to enhance your life, but it's not something to say, oh, I'm actually using a quantum technology right now. You're just basically using technology to be a bit more secure, to be a bit more safe. So quantum communication has already been said in terms of cryptography and security. I'll use the quantum sensing example. So Dr. Park mentioned quantum gravitometer as being one technology. There's quantum magnetometer as well. Those two technologies allows us to have better monitoring of our territory, for example. So for the safety of our territory, or better monitoring, better data to model what's happening in the north. Could be wildfires, could be floods. Anything that brings us better data means that we can build better models, which means that we can have better decision making.
Merci beaucoup. So, okay, thank you for this first entrance. We'll go next to understand a little bit more. So quantum and microelectronics can sound abstract, even out of reach for many entrepreneurs. So let's get through the jargons and what do this technology actually means for business, and how could they change day-to-day operation in the future. So you cover quantum technology, but also microelectronics, the tiny chips at the heart of all devices, drives much of today's technology. So Quebec ecosystem is largely composed of agile SME, where we can find in Korea industry dominated by large conglomerate called chaebols with massive production capacity. So together these differences create unique opportunities for complementary collaboration. As with AI, early adoption by industry is critical. So to unlocking this value, the value of this technology. So how does technology, quantum and microelectronics advance, complement each other, and what does successful early adoption looks like? Christian, so you're leading donc vous êtes directeur scientifique de District, la zone d'innovation quantique. Vous êtes à l'avant-garde des efforts du Québec pour transformer la recherche quantique et à la pointe des applications concrètes. Donc, est-ce que vous pourriez nous expliquer comment fonctionnent ces technologies et en quoi le Québec se démarque dans ce domaine? Quels sont les secteurs industriels québécois qui manifestent le plus d'intérêt à adopter des solutions quantiques de manière précoce pour renforcer leur résilience?
Wow, okay, so I think I've got 3 minutes for this. So it was already mentioned quantum sensing, quantum communication, and quantum computing. So I'll go fast in some of those. So sensing, you're already using those. There's some that can be more sensitive or can give you better data. I think every businesses that are looking for more sensitivity or to getting better data to actually make better decisions in some ways, quantum technologies will be useful for them. But I don't need to go into the details of this. It's more about your business model and the value that you're trying to bring. So let's spend a little bit more time on quantum communication and quantum computing. And let's start with the threat. So why are we discussing about quantum communication? It's because of the quantum computer. So quantum computer was kind of an idea of a research equipment that would be better used to simulate nature, have a better understanding. But there's a certain mathematician at one point, Peter Shor, that discovered an algorithm that would be able to efficiently factor large numbers. So why should we care about factoring large numbers? Well, it's actually what you're using right now on the internet to share in terms of cryptography protocol. So it's a mathematical function that's very easy to solve if you've got both pieces, but very hard on the other way if someone is trying to hack your communication. So seeing this, someone, especially in the defense minister, was kind of saying, oh, there might actually be a useful application of a quantum computer after all. So let's try to define if it can be used, of course, first as a weapon, but at the same time, how can we defend against it? And that's the life and the world in which we're living in. It's like, okay, a quantum computer is actually gonna be built. We don't know when exactly, which year, but are you ready? And that's what we mean by quantum communication and quantum cryptography. There's also, again, two kinds of quantum cryptography, what we call post-quantum crypto or quantum-safe cryptography. Those kind of technologies are not using quantum mechanics in some ways. They're just using a different mathematical functions which we know or we believe is hard to crack by a classical computer or a quantum computer. This is something for businesses around the room that you need to decide now if your data needs to be more secure than, let's say, 5 years' time, 10 years' time. Right now, there's some agents that are doing store now, decrypt later. They know that at one point they're going to have access to a quantum computer. So if you have sensitive data right now that needs to be safe for 10, 15, 20 years, you need to act now to make sure that whatever you're doing are basically post-quantum crypto. So this is already available. Institutions such as KRISS or NIST shows standards, protocol that you can use. This is something that as nations and as businesses you need to understand and start to act now to have a roadmap towards. But there's also another solutions, which is quantum cryptography or quantum key distribution as one case, where now using quantum mechanics we can build a quantum cryptography protocol that's 100% secure because it's based on the laws of quantum mechanics. That said, again, for businesses, please understand that we're adding a layer of cybersecurity on the top of all the other layers of cybersecurity. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. There still is a human factor into cybersecurity that you need to take into account. But please know that by adding this layer of cybersecurity, you're adding another layer of fully securing your data. But it does require investment. It does require infrastructure. It's, again, something that as large organizations or as nations we need to think about now. And in terms of quantum computing per se, there's a lot of businesses out there that have hard mathematical problems that you cannot solve right now. See a quantum computer as another tool where in high performance computing where you're trying to figure out, okay, I've got this question which I cannot get an answer. Is there an efficient way to solve this? Quantum computer is another tool that we add to that high performance quantum computing data centers that will allow you to get answers to your questions so that you can make better decisions again for your business.
Merci beaucoup. Manon, vous dirigez Technam Québec, la zone d'innovation en microélectronique située à Bromont, un secteur clé qui alimente autant l'intelligence artificielle que les technologies quantiques. Et le Québec se distingue particulièrement dans le domaine de l'encapsulation et de l'assemblage avancé, un avantage stratégique croissant dans un contexte de transformation des chaînes d'approvisionnement mondiales en semi-conducteurs. Donc pourriez-vous brièvement nous présenter les principaux segments de la chaîne de valeur des semi-conducteurs et comment les forces du Québec dans ce domaine de l'encapsulation favorisent une adoption plus rapide des technologies émergentes?
Certainement. J'aimerais également vous mentionner qu'on vient de compléter une étude avec le pôle d'excellence de l'industrie des systèmes électroniques du Québec. La dernière étude avait été complétée en 2018 avec EB Data et nous venons de la mettre à jour en 2025. Donc, le marché de l'électronique au Québec représente 6,5 milliards du PIB, qui a 54 000 emplois et 900 entreprises impliquées dans la chaîne de valeur. Alors, c'est pas rien. Et cette chaîne de valeur-là, en fait, elle est souvent divisée en 4 grands segments. Donc, le premier, on va parler de design et de conception de la puce en tant que telle, avec la partie simulation, souvent. Cette partie-là est dominée. Il y a beaucoup d'entreprises qu'on appelle fabless, qui n'ont pas de capacité de fabriquer elles-mêmes leurs puces, donc elles doivent les faire fabriquer ailleurs. Deuxième grand segment, on parle justement de la fabrication en tant que telle, de ces puces électroniques-là, des circuits qui sont faits sur des tranches de silicium. On voit, vous avez vu notamment quelques exemples tantôt dans la vidéo. Donc, des tranches de silicium qui sont dans des lieux hautement technologiques, là, à la fine pointe de la technologie, dans des salles propres. Et donc, ce sont des usines essentiellement qui sont... En fait, on en a très peu au Canada et au Québec. Je pense entre autres à Teledyne MEMS à Bromont qui font des capteurs pour le médical, l'automobile, l'aérospatial. Il y a le centre de recherche de la zone d'innovation également et plusieurs universités quand même qui ont des capacités de ce côté-là. Le troisième grand segment, alors on va parler plus d'assemblage. C'est sûr que là, la petite puce, il faut la découper, il faut la mettre dans un boîtier. Donc, on parle d'encapsulation, de connexion au substrat, les tests de performance, etc. Et là, le Québec se distingue notamment. On a plusieurs entreprises qui sont spécialisées dans l'encapsulation, par exemple avancée, qui permet d'intégrer plusieurs puces dans un même boîtier, du prototypage rapide. La quatrième grande phase, c'est l'intégration dans des systèmes finis, parce que la microélectronique est partout, mais est invisible, on ne la voit pas, mais tout ce qui a une switch on-off, en fait, a une puce microélectronique là, à la base. Donc, pour les PME, accéder à des capacités locales de fabrication d'encapsulation avancée, ça permet de réduire leur délai de mise en marché, de prototypage, puis ça leur donne un effet de levier sur l'innovation dans les domaines de pointe. Fait que cet avantage stratégique différenciateur pour le Québec, en fait, je décrirais qu'au sein même des zones d'innovation, là, je pense à District, à Sherbrooke et à Bromont, entre autres, il y a ce qu'on appelle la chaîne d'innovation intégrée qui est comme une passerelle agile entre la recherche, l'industrialisation et la commercialisation, avec notamment l'Institut quantique, le 3IT et le C2MI.
Merci. Et Ruoyi, you're leading IBM's global strategic partnership in advanced research, including quantum computers, the quantum computer system 1, a commercial computer built around superconducting qubits in Quebec and in Korea. So we are lucky to have this kind of ecosystem in both our nations. This system is dedicated to environmental sustainability research in Quebec, and at Yonsei University in Songdo is more exploring life science application. You used to oversee both research teams in both centers. So can you explain to us why did you choose these two ecosystems and for your computers, and what can you learn from the early adoption of quantum technology in this region, and maybe how do these specialized centers foster collaboration between Quebec and Korea?
It's a great question, and I love to talk about it. So I did have the privilege of working quantum ecosystem in both Quebec and South Korea. And so when it comes to decision-making, what focus area to pick, typically we have a few key considerations with our partners. Number one, it needs to be aligned with the priorities and also long-term vision of stakeholders. And second, we need to consider local competencies and skills. Number three, we need to consider the local ecosystem. Number four, we need to consider, does it have a potential to reach global impact with local leadership? So when it comes to, say, the dedicated system we have in Beaumont, in Quebec here, and so number one is it's aligned with the Quebec government's priorities and long-term vision. And thanks to Margot sitting right here from MEIE, and they really truly visionary and have a long-term vision on sustainability. Now it comes to competency. Quebec is a home to Institut quantiques, which is a globally recognized research center for quantum, and thanks to the leadership of my dear friend Christian right here. So Sherbrooke as a university, I don't know if many of you know that, as a university is ranked number one among global universities in terms of the sustainable development performance. This is called a STAR program. And of course, in Quebec, there are also other leading institutions like ETS and also Evadu, Mila, right? And so when it comes to ecosystem, and we have district, it's very vibrant and also attract many startup companies. And many large organizations in Quebec also forward-thinking, such as Hydro-Quebec, they're early adopters. And so to drive the adoption of quantum in Quebec and around the world, in 2023, we basically launched a quantum working group for sustainability. Founding members including Pink, our partner, Sherbrooke, Hydro-Quebec, and Eon, which is a energy leader in Europe. They also embrace quantum very, very early on. And so I'm glad to share, like in 2 years in a row, right, we have now 56 members working on quantum programs solving such as new material for batteries, such as grid optimization, and truly is the local leadership that leads to global impact. So kudos to the quantum leaders here in this room. So when it comes to Yonsei, it's another my favorite topic to talk about. And so you heard from Dr. Park talked about significant investment of South Korean government into quantum. So while we pick healthcare and life sciences, as you know, that South Korea is leading many industries, including semiconductors, electronics, automotives, right? What's the next frontier? And many people in government are betting on biotech. And so in June 2024, last year, right? And so the Korean government announced want to be very ambitious goal to be the global biotech manufacturing hub, and with 5 bio-specific complexes. And Songdo as a region is one of them, and Songdo is also where the Yonsei quantum complex is located. So it's natural, to pick this to align it with the national strategy. And so Yonsei University, of course, also partner with many global leading organizations to become a leader when it comes to quantum in biotech. For example, with Cleveland Clinic, which is a leader not only in healthcare, and they host first quantum system dedicated to healthcare and life sciences. They also collaborate with Cambridge University. And so also, Damien, to your credit, you cultivated really the collaboration between the two regions. One example is last year you basically orchestrated a quantum tour of Quebec delegation in South Korea, right? And so because of that, you were there. And so an MOU is signed between Yonsei and Sherbrooke. So kudos to it. I look forward to see the outcome and how the collaboration will yield scientific breakthroughs and economic benefits.
Thank you very much. And moving to a next very important topic as well is the fast evolving technological landscape also bring the biggest challenge in finding the right talents to drive it. So whether it's quantum computing, AI or advanced manufacturing, skill shortage risk slowing down the progress and putting resilience at risk. So Quebec and Korea have both vibrant innovation ecosystem, but attracting, training and retaining highly skilled professionals remain a challenge for both ecosystems. So how can organization and institution better prepare the workforce for tomorrow's technology? Mr. Kim, you're leading one of the most advanced quantum education programs in Asia at KRISS, the university located in Daejeon. So you have, what have you found to be the most effective to attracting young researchers and students to a field as complex as quantum? And how does KRISS work with industry and government to ensure these graduates are industry ready and contributing to the national competitiveness?
It's really good question, actually. Probably you don't know the KRISS. I will briefly introduce the KRISS. KRISS is we have a very short history compared to the other university in Quebec. It's only like 50 years old, founded in 1971. As the first research-oriented university in South Korea. Because you know, after Korean War, we are really poor, so we have to, there was a mission to industrialize the Korean communities. So we're nurturing basically scientists and engineers. So for example, and we were pretty good. For example, like 25% of Samsung R&D is KRISS graduate, and like 20% of Korean faculty is KRISS graduate. So we are very successful and contributing to the industrialization of Korea. And now we have a mission, another mission, I think. And our president, actually, I have to talk about this story again. He received honorary PhD degree from École Polytechnique Montreal last year. So we have a strong ally between Quebec and Daejeon, I think. All right. And he always emphasized that quantum technology is inevitable. In what sense? Probably you guys all know the Moore's law, right? The performance of the CPU enhanced every 2 years, doubles every 2 years, right? However, this Moore's law must face limitation at the end because of quantum mechanics. Quantum interference strictly forbidden the addressed one or like a 0 digital signal below like a 1 nanometer scale because of the electron is not anymore a particle, but it is also wave. I really don't like to talk about the quantum mechanics, but again, I have to talk about that. So that's why it's inevitable. We need to have some other replaceable technology. That's his vision. So one of the inevitable technology, including the bio and AI, the quantum technology is pretty important. So we started this program like 2023, much later than your university. But I mean, this is a Korea's first move. Okay. Again, because I mean, we are research-oriented, innovative university in Korea. So. The basic idea is quite simple because Daejeon area is a specific district in Korea, famous for science city. So all the, not all, but I mean 20s of research institute is located Daejeon area. It's pretty good. So So we do have a really good infrastructure, especially we have two representative like a Quantum Research Institute in Korea, which is KRISS, you saw that from the introduction, and another one is At3, and they're good at communication and electronics. So the simple idea is we can share the infrastructure and the manpower, workforce, and to educate the future generation, especially this quantum area. That's the basic idea that we initiate this quantum program. And now, because of that, we got a lot of support nationwide. Because I mean, we do have a talent. We have a very smart and good students, and faculty members are working really hard in various areas of quantum research. It's not a single domain. It's a lot of different areas, right? So that's why we got a lot of funding from nationwide. I told about this story yesterday in the Eco Polytech, and they said building one building cost like $100 million Canadian dollars. Is that right? But just in Korea, we are very efficient. We can spend like $30 million to have a building. So now we are going to have a Quantum X research building. We try to connect quantum technology to the other disciplines such as chemistry, material science, and so on. And we also have funded for the National Quantum Fabrication Centers, which is pretty good funding with great help from Daejeon City. So the half of the fund, almost half of the funding come from Daejeon City. Thank you, Mayor. So I mean, that's pretty much everything that I can explain. We do have a very good support and good students. So we like to, because we cannot do all the domain of quantum science, we like to collaborate. And that's the primary reason to visit here. So we like to have a good collaboration, not just only Eun-Seong, but the KRISS as well. Yeah. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, and we are glad to hear that. Maybe Christian, la même question. Donc vraiment, l'Institut quantique, c'est devenu un pilier central de l'écosystème canadien et québécois de la recherche quantique. Mais quelle est selon vous la juste balance entre la recherche académique et fondamentale et la recherche appliquée et pratique pour préparer les innovateurs québécois de demain? Est-ce que vous pouvez nous donner un exemple concret de collaboration de l'Institut avec l'industrie visant à développer les compétences et à rapprocher l'innovation du marché?
Okay, I'll start by saying that actually Sherbrooke is really good, really excellent, but Canada as a whole and Quebec is a powerhouse in quantum, in research excellence. So it's not just in Sherbrooke, it's also in Montreal, it's also in Quebec City and all across Canada. And one thing that we clearly understand is that right now the real quantum advantage is access to talent, and we've got it in troves here in Quebec in terms of who we train and the quality of the people that we actually train. So the main discussion across the different sections of the world right now is a shortage of talent. So if you think that you had a problem in terms of shortage of talent in AI, it's about 100-fold in quantum. So what's fascinating in terms of the research that we're doing in our research institute is that most of my researchers are doing fundamental research. They haven't changed a thing in what they're doing, and now they actually are doing applied research, and I would even call it industrial research. The research happening in our research institute is exactly the same in the companies that we have in the innovation zone. Those are undistinguishable. So what's happening in the labs in the university and the companies is about the same level, which creates kind of a strange situation. It was something that you would think that, okay, we're doing fundamental research. No, you're not doing this anymore. You're actually doing industrial research. Well, I haven't changed a thing in what I'm actually doing. But the fact that now we've got companies in the innovation zone in Montreal, in Sherbrooke, in Quebec, that are doing cutting-edge research as good as what's happening in the universities, it's actually pushing my researchers to be even better. So it's kind of like a virtuous circle there. And the fact that the innovation zone magic of what's actually happening with creating an ecosystem is saying our students as well graduate, but also doing internship in the companies, getting that industrial experience while they're doing their grad studies is actually quite helpful in the work experience that they're getting and then getting into the quantum industry. And the innovation zone is also a place where we can have a discussion and a vision. It's the same thing, I think, in terms of Technum. We do require PhD and postdoc in the quantum science and quantum technology, but we also require engineers, technicians. This is an industry that we're actually building. So having right now the discussion together, both with the industry and the universities, it's like, okay, how can I change my curriculum to make sure that the competence and the skills that I'm giving to them is actually adjusted to the evolution of the sector, which evolves quite quickly, is something that innovation zones allows us to get kind of that long-term vision. So to kind of give you an example, I think 60% of my profs are actually doing industry research partnerships with industry. So for a fundamental research in quantum, this is pretty high, but this is where we are right now, and this is where you see the magic happens in terms of being an innovation zone. I would say that when I started 12 years ago in Sherbrooke, most of the students were coming in Sherbrooke to do an undergrad in physics and quantum physics and then do something else. That was basically it. They go in electrical engineering and computer science. Now they're actually coming to do quantum science, and they know that they're going to get a job, and they're actually going to get a job in Quebec, which is fantastic.
Thank you very much. I see the time running, so I'll ask you maybe one last question to hear all of you. So we heard that Quebec and South Korea have forged strong innovation ties, especially in quantum technology, AI, semiconductor. For instance, KRISS and Quebec institution collaborate on AI through different projects. An MOU was signed with KRISS AI and Ivado recently. KRISS is also working closely with a startup like Anion System, while Korea startup SQK established itself in Quebec in District Q to use and benefit from the ecosystem. So my last question will be, to conclude, how would you like to comment on, in this evolving context and growing geopolitical tech rivalry, how do you see the future of collaboration between Quebec and South Korea? And what reason for optimism can you share about opportunities for our even innovation ecosystem, despite these challenges that we see today? And how can like-minded nations like Quebec and South Korea navigate these challenges together? So Manon, if you want to go with that one.
Oui, merci. La rivalité technologique entre les grandes puissances redessine les chaînes de valeur mondiale dans tous les domaines. En fait, hier, pour ceux qui ont assisté, on était ici, on a parlé entre autres au niveau des mines, mais c'est vrai aussi pour l'énergie verte, les semi-conducteurs. Donc, dans ce contexte-là, le Québec et la Corée, je pense sont deux économies qui sont ouvertes, innovantes et qui sont complémentaires. D'une part, la Corée a une excellente maîtrise en lien avec la fabrication à grande échelle. Le Québec, on est fort en R&D, spécialisé dans des niches critiques. On a des PME agiles, on est bon dans l'intégration de systèmes. Puis on a des zones d'innovation. Hein. Je fais du pouce sur ce que Christian mentionnait également. Donc, ça crée tout un potentiel de collaboration bilatérale. Et puis, on devrait viser, à mon avis, donc un alignement stratégique entre les deux gouvernements, des volontés de partenariat. Puis je pense qu'on est bien parti. Hein. Déjà, on accueille les délégations coréennes dans les zones demain, à Bromont et à Sherbrooke. Et on doit poursuivre les investissements dans les technologies.
Merci beaucoup. Dr. Kim, sorry.
All right. So I'm not very good at other field, so I don't really know about what's going to happen next. But I mean, for sure, I know that we have many things in common between South Korea and Quebec, and especially Daejeon City and Quebec, because I mean, we are good at emerging technology like quantum and aeroscience and technologies, engineering, and bioscience. And probably you don't know that the biggest, not biggest, but I mean most of the market share of bio startup is located in Daejeon. So we are moving very fast, and that's why I think there is going to be a lot of opportunity to work together between Daejeon and Quebec. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ruoyi?
Yes, and I think I'm very optimistic, not only for the partnership and collaboration between Quebec and South Korea, but around the globe. And so I already mentioned about the quantum working group, right? They are going strong and they are growing. Another example about a global collaboration is the AI Alliance that's launched by IBM and Meta. And so we started about 18 months ago. And so with 50 members today, 18 months later, we have 140 members across 23 nations. And not only tackling the technical challenges, but also touch the governance, the trust, and security of AI systems, which is really crucial. And so I believe if we can align common goals and also leverage the strengths of each other, and we can all be better.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will just say, I would like to add that quantum is hard. It's really hard. So anything that we can do together and not just being closed off and actually trying to do everything alone would be helpful. So we need to collaborate, both in terms of research infrastructure, in terms of expertise, but really sharing the knowledge is something that I think that we share together in terms of value, which is really, really important. So for Quebec to have an impact, there's some choices and strategic choices that needs to be made. There's what we call now a quantum supply chain that's getting developed all around the world. There's some geopolitics involved as well. So we need to work together just to make the technology happens, but also to make sure that we secure that supply chain together. Coming back to your first question about safety, resilience, this is very important, both for Quebec and I think for Korea. And I had the pleasure to visit KRISS, and I would say that one thing that I'm taking from that trip, and since then, is I like to take a bit of their ambitions and bring it back to Quebec, because this is really impressive what they're doing out there.
Merci beaucoup, Christian. Donc, thank you so much for your brilliant insights and encouraging words. Merci beaucoup. We are lucky to have innovators like you and your organization to help us stay ahead of the curve, and hopefully working together can help us achieve new heights. So please give us a big round of applause to our fantastic speakers. And the next session, I think, will be very relevant for all what we discussed today. So, Mathieu, back to you. Merci.